Okay, I'm going to talk about my book, my edited book, Writing Philosophical Autoethnography, which is due out early 2024, maybe late 2023. It's a Routledge book. It's got some great contributors, Art Bochner, Alex Brostroff, myself, Betsy Ator, Renata Ferdinand, Mark Freeman, Andrew Herman, Chris Poulos, Mena Pratt-Clark, Shelley Rollins, Julianne Scott Pollock, and Georgina Stewart. And I've got a chapter in it myself, as well as editing it. Now I'm going to talk for 8 minutes, and I'm going to talk I'm going to select from the initial chapter, the introduction of the book. Here goes. This proposed volume, excuse me for looking away all the time, I'm looking at my screen for the reading material. This proposed volume will constitute the first collection of narrative autoethnographic work in which authors autoethnographically explore their issues, concerns and topics about human society, cultures, and the non-human and material worlds through an explicitly philosophical lens. In specific terms, this means that each chapter, while written as first-person autoethnography, not precluding the use of second and third-person narrative as relevant, will showcase sustained engagement with philosophical arguments, ideas, concepts, and corresponding ethical positions. This philosophical basis will be fundamental to the content, topic, focus, and context of each autoethnography chapter, rather than supplementary. Now that's my working definition of philosophical autoethnography in quotes, which first appeared in the Routledge book proposal preceding the publication, the writing of this volume. The proposal itself emerged from an extended conversation I had with Tony Adams at the inception of the Journal of Autoethnography in 2020. I expressed an interest as a member of the International Editorial Board in editing a special issue of the journal devoted to philosophical autoethnography. In the spring of 2021, after more discussions, Tony, co-editor of the journal, suggested I think instead about an edited volume with the same focus. I'm immensely grateful to him for planting this seed of an idea, given my long-standing concerns about narrative autoethnography and my wish for it to become more philosophically sophisticated. Regarding my own apprehension of the autoethnography world, I've often found myself preoccupied over the years with the meaning of narrative autoethnography. I'm just going to switch screens a sec. Here we go. Yep. Accepting that all forms of autoethnography tell stories, by this descriptor, narrative autoethnography, I specifically mean written work of the sort found in journal articles and books, as distinct from arts-based modality work, for example, cinematic and other forms of non-textual autoethnographic performance. Accepting its default status as a blurred genre, I find myself in sympathy with Craig Gingrich Philbrook's assertion that narrative autoethnography is, in quotes, more a broad orientation towards scholarship than a specific procedure. Now, if writing substituted for scholarship, I totally go along with that, a broad orientation towards writing rather than a specific procedure. At the risk of courting disapproval from among my more liberal-minded autoethnographic friends, colleagues, and associates, my problem is that in my experience, too many unscholarly autoethnography successfully reach the public domain. I'm uncomfortably aware of the fact that this assertion puts me at odds with front stage image and promotion of the orientation. Front stage image image management. However, I believe that what autoethnography is supposed to be, according to contemporary definitive texts, now that's what I think it should be, I've contributed to some of those texts, amounts to Platonization. This concept best captures a troubling incoherence evident within the orientation. Autoethnography is described in definitive text in ideal terms, while some of the dubious quality work ending up in journal articles and conference presentations falls far short of these ideals. In my view, this incoherence would happen less if autoethnographic writing became more philosophically rigorous. This might also result in less of a need to categorize autoethnography according to a growing proliferation of subtypes, including, of course, evocative and analytical autoethnography. In my view, while classifying autoethnography in this way is undeniably useful, it also comes with a set of related problems. First, any particular autoethnography explicitly aligned to a single category will, as Hernandez and her colleagues argue, display assumptions and styles from other category subtypes. Categories like standpoints and people are always intersectional. Secondly, the category label evocative autoethnography can function to defend and justify work of questionable quality. People identifying as evocative writers may take the following assumption for granted: that it's unnecessary to formally analyse the study findings beyond what's expressed in storytelling. This, since analysis takes place as the researcher makes meaning and engages in storying of the experience. This is from Hernandez et al. Last year, 2022. Now, there's no doubt that such implicit analysis occurs in stories written by skilled autoethnographers, and that the ideal promise of evocative autoethnography, as voiced by Art Bochner and Carolyn Ellis, is very sound. However, I believe that among the less adept and analytically astute, this stock assumption can function as an unconvincing rationalization, a cop-out to avoid the hard work needed to improve on solipsistic and naive realist work. So there's the problem of where to draw boundaries around what constitutes evocative autoethnography. Hernandez and her colleagues rightly assert that this subtype encompasses work in the performing arts and in prose and the spoken word, work that refuses explicit inclusion as social and human science writing. That being the case, it seems to me that much of what is not normally regarded as autoethnography could arguably be incorporated into the ranks of evocative autoethnography. Plucking two names at random, the work of Devin the Jude and Dostoevsky, for example, proceeds from their personal experiences and speaks to their respective cultures, accepting that solipsism and cultural insularity often masquerades as critical cultural reflexivity. However, the calibre of implicit analysis in the work of Devin the Jude, compared with Dostoevsky, remains a debatable point. I think that this is an important issue as it speaks to my quality brief more generally. I've exceeded my 8 minutes. It's 9 minutes and 3 seconds. I'll stop now. Thank you. Hope you buy the book.